Hey everybody, welcome back to Country Boy Catfishing. I'm David. We're in Oklahoma. We're at Eureka Lake again, and we're going to try and see if these catfish are still in here. A couple days ago, they were up in here feeding real good in the shallow water. We caught a 20 out of this spot, several smaller ones. So we're going to come back today and see if they're still here. These catfish move a lot, so nothing says they're still going to be here feeding. Got a lot less wind today. Hey Art, hey Dan, Becca. Guys, we're back out here at that same spot where I was on the fish a couple of days ago. Just trying to see if they're still here. I'm going to give them a little bit of time, see if they're up in here feeding. If not, I'll move somewhere else. Not quite as warm today, but I don't have 30-mile-an-hour winds pushing me off the lake either. So I've got several different spots I can fish on this lake. So if they don't bite here, I'll move around till I find them. That's kind of what happened the last time. I sat for 2 hours without a bite. Come over here and check this spot out, and the bite was on fire here. I'm still fishing real shallow water. I don't know if y'all can see all the brush and stuff out in the water there, but I'm fishing on the inside of that brush line. And for some reason, they were up in here feeding inside that brush. We had a drought several years back that drained the lakes way low. And when it filled back up, all that brush had growed on the bank. And now it's out in the water. And for some reason, these catfish, they're using it for cover and come up in it and feed in several different spots. I knew there were fish here a couple of days ago, so I decided I'd try it here uh, just to see if they're still here. It's always a good starting point. Then I can move from here. Uh, Live gizzard shad. I've got fresh cut bait gizzard shad is what I'm using. I've got body pieces on 2 rods and head on 2 rods. Yeah, I'm in southern Oklahoma, Lynn. I'm probably about 30 minutes from the Texas state line right now. Yeah, Dan, I'm not far from you. Need to make a trip down here sometime, Dan, and I'll show you some of these spots for bank fishing and get you on these fish. It's a big shallow flat right here, guys. It comes back, makes a cove. Used to be a big beaver dam down here just north of me, and you could walk across it and catch the crappie and stuff. But the main creek channel comes down. There's a tree line and goes up under the bridge, and the fish have deep water and they can come up shallow to feed. So they kind of got the best of both worlds. There's lots of stumps and trees to give them cover. There's a small island just to the left of me uh, that's got lots of brush around it. Before the brush was there, there's been several 40 and 50-pound catfish come out from around that island. Hi, Lacey. Welcome. Yeah, Lynn, I'm not really sure where Lane is, but I'm on Eureka Lake, uh, just north of the Red River. And this is a good lake. It's a flood control lake. They basically built it to keep the town of Eureka from flooding. And it's fed by two creeks. We have Little Beaver Creek and Big Beaver Creek that feed this. And the lake's down low right now, so water's normally up to the top of this bank, and it's about 3 foot down it now. So hopefully this spring will bring us some rains, get this lake back up. Lynn, I've heard of Atoka, but I've never been there. But I'm gonna give them some time and see if they're up in here. The other day when I pulled up here, I didn't even get my rods out in the water. I was still trying to bait, and they were just folding the poles over. These fish down here are usually very aggressive when they bite. Uh, I see Chunky and a lot of the guys up in DC and stuff, and even some guys on the river where the fish just kind of bounce the rod or start swimming off with the line. Usually here you'll know when you got a bite because they'll fold that rod plumb over. You got to have good rod holders because if you don't have your rod secure and one hits, your rod will be gone. Lynn Eufaula is a good lake. Uh, I've been there once. I love it. It's got the big steep bluffs. I know it's a phenomenal crappie fishery. It's not too bad here right now. Not a lot of wind. The temperature's probably getting up close to 50. Feels good in the sun. Yeah, I want to go try Lake Eufaula again. I plan on going down to Texas and fishing some of the lakes down there. Texoma's a good lake for catfish. I've been seeing a lot of good fish pulled out of Lake Tawakanee down there in Texas. Hi, Big Slim. It's starting to warm up. I got to come out of this coat. All right, I can't see who's blue and who's not in here on my phone, uh, but I definitely made you a moderator, so I hope it showed up. Yes, Art, I definitely want to come down there to Kerr Lake with you guys and fish. Uh, Not just for the fish. I think it would be a blast fishing with y'all guys. And a lot of the fishing trips to me, guys, it's not on how much fish you catch or the size of the fish. It's meeting new people and the time you get to spend with them, the friendships and stuff that you build. To me, that's almost more important than catching the great big fish. Hi, Mike Turner. Welcome. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love to catch fish, but I love everything that goes with it. I like to fish a lot at night in the summertime. Hooks and hammock. uh, like to come out and camp, just spend the whole day and the whole night out at the lake. It's peaceful out here. This lake here, it's a huge lake. It covers 3 different counties. Part of it's in Cotton County, part of it's in Stevens County, and part of it's in Jefferson County. There have been guys out here with boats that I know that have been coming out here fishing the 30 and 40-foot water, drifting. They've been having success catching some fish, but all the fish I've caught this year have been up shallow. I've got a few spots I can hit deep water from the bank, and 20 to 25 foot, and I have yet got a bite at any of those places. But I can come up here and fish in 2 to 4 foot of water, and for some reason the fish are up in there. Guys, if you're popping in for the first time and you're not a moderator, uh, I'm just getting started. I'm slowly adding moderators as people come in. So don't be surprised on my next live if I don't have you as a moderator. I don't try and do it on my phone anymore while I'm live. I tried that the other day and ended up blocking art. Not going to do that. Don't want to go down that road again. This is the first day, and I don't know how long we have not had 20 to 40 mile an hour winds. You can see the water. There's just barely a ripple on this water. I like some wind in the lake because that's what generates the movement of the bait fish, but I do not like a lot of wind. You can catch fish in it, uh, a lot of your catfish, but it makes it almost impossible to video. Hey, Georgia fisherman, welcome. This is the same spot I was at a couple days ago when I caught several smaller ones in that 20-pounder, and got the wind just got so bad I couldn't stay anymore. I'd been out all day trying to hide from the wind. I'm gonna have to get some better video equipment where I can get the external mics and put a sock or something on it to try and cut down on the wind noise, because in Oklahoma we have lots of wind. I've been trying to get my wife to come out with me, but she still says it's a little cold for her. Yeah, hooks and hammock, it's not bad right now. It's probably right around 50. And 50 is not bad for me. If you got that wind block and you got the sun on you, I'm kind of chunky. I put off a lot of heat. So yeah, Georgia, this is the same spot where I got blew off the lake. I'm giving it a try today to see if they're up in here. If they're not, I'm going to move. I figure this was a good starting point because they were here a couple of days ago, and I'll give them a shot. If they're not here, I'll go try different spots because these fish move constantly. Wherever the bait fish go, which is the gizzard shad here, uh, that's where the catfish are going to go. Don't get hung up on fishing a certain spot, guys. Just because you catch fish there one day does not mean they're going to be there the next day. It's always a good place to use that and go back and try, but don't spend all day there. If you're not getting fish there, don't be afraid to move to another spot. Just because they're not biting in one area of the lake does not mean the fish are not biting. Yeah, Dan, we've had clouds most of the morning, but it's just now starting to break through. That sun's starting to pop out, and it's nice. I'm trying to get out as much as I can because we got a cold weather front coming in, and our highs are going to be in the low 30s for about a week straight. So, we got a little action. He's trying. Nope, he didn't get it. He was nibbling at it. This is on one of them shad heads. I'm trying to do this without whacking y'all. I'm going to send this back out there. I'm not throwing out that far, guys. I have to stay on the inside of that brush. If you throw on the outside of that or out to that brush line, you'll get snagged. I found that out the hard way the other day. And guys, I have no secret spots on this lake. Uh, I take anybody fishing that wants to go fishing. I share all my spots because I love to see people get on fish. I love to see people catch fish, uh, especially people that's never caught your bigger catfish. I probably get more excited than they do. But we did have a little nibble there. I think he was just too small to get that shad head in his mouth, which is okay because down here a lot, if you have the smaller fish coming up and feeding, the big fish will usually come up in that same area and feed. This lake is just loaded with catfish, especially if you want catfish to eat. Uh, you'll get a lot of eater catfish out of this lake. But this is kind of my favorite lake around here. I kind of grew up on it. My uncle helped build this lake, and I've been on it ever since I was just a little boy, a little toddler. This is where I learned to swim. He took me out in the boat and just threw me out in the middle of the water and said, swim or drown. And that may seem cruel to a lot of people, but you figure out how to swim pretty quick. Guys, if y'all ever have questions about the lakes around here, if you're ever coming to Oklahoma or something, or other lakes that I fished on, don't hesitate to ask. I share all the information. I'm really hoping this spring that we get the spring floods because we've got East Cache and West Cache that join together and make main cache, and that dumps right into the Red River. And after the creeks flood about 3 times and come up and stay up, the fish will start coming out of Red River and they move up these creeks. And there's some spots we can get on them creeks and bank fish. And then big catfish come up and you're catching anywhere from 20 pounds to 70 pounds. And it's a blast. Yeah, Mike, this lake is a big lake. Uh, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's 11 miles long from one end to the other. You got to be careful on this lake, though, when you come out here with your boats. Uh, all the old roads, fences, there's lots of trees and stumps in the water. A lot of them are underwater that you can't see. And we've had people drown in this lake because they're new to it. And they come out here and want to run 60 and 70 mile an hour across this water. And you hit one of them stumps at that speed, and it'll just take the whole bottom of the boat out. Dan, I know you're struggling getting on the fish, but don't give up. Man, it just takes time. It takes a lot of time on the water, and you kind of figure out where they're going to be at different times. Uh, Especially bank fishing, you're not in a boat, so you don't have a fish finder. You're not sure what the depths are in different areas and stuff. So you figure it out by trial and error. I've just been on this lake so much, I know it like the back of my hand. But you just have to spend the time and study. Hooks and hammock. This is Warika Lake. Eufaula Lake is a beautiful lake. Used to go over there. Had some friends that lived there at McAllister, right back behind the McAllister prison, and I'd go visit them. And he just loved to crappie fish. And he got injured and hurt his back. And while he was down, he started making deer hair jigs and started making his own jigs. And he would go over to Eufaula. I went over there with him, and man, he would kill the crappie on them jigs. And Sardis Lake in eastern Oklahoma, it's a nice lake. It's got good catfish in it. This lake here's got muddy water. It usually stays stained. Lots of bait fish, so the fish really flourish here. And man, if you like the crappie fish, you can come up here and catch slab crappie. Hi, Vets. Thanks for coming in. I'm hoping these fish get a little bit more active. Yeah, Dan, Sardis Lake is good to fish. There's a spot on that lake the locals call the Narrows. You can go back in there, and there's lots of stumps up in the water, and you can tie up there and really get into the catfish. It's really beautiful out here today, almost like a spring day. I hate that cold weather's coming. This lake has a lot of big shallow flats, especially over where the creeks come in. And when them fish start to spawn, you can pull up on them shallow flats with them hard bottoms. The catfish really like it. And the fishing action can be insane. Uh, there's times when all you can do is fish with one rod and you're lucky to keep it out in the water. All right, Dan, be careful. Yeah, guys, don't be afraid to share links in here. Uh, I support everybody in our catfish community, and I think sharing links in the live streams really helps because it makes it a lot easier to find people. Uh, and there is so much content on YouTube now with the live streams. You can go in and watch and learn different techniques, different baits, things that are working on different bodies of water. Uh, just like the chicken bait. Here, I've had no luck on the chicken bait so far, but I've seen people like Dieter and Creole and even Art and then with One Ton Fishing Club that have caught fish on chicken. So I know it works. It just may be a certain area or a certain time. Uh, I do think that the chicken works better on the lakes that have the mussel beds. That fish just jumped to say hi. He just rolled about 6 foot off the bank. There goes another one. Something is definitely up in here feeding, guys. So could be carp, could be big hybrid or striper. So they may be starting to turn on as that sun gets up and pops out from that sun or the clouds. A lot of these shallow coves and stuff like this, the water heats up faster, and as that water heats up, it brings the shad in chasing that plankton. So I know during the wintertime, everybody says go deep, go deep, go deep, but so far I've been catching them all shallow. Yeah, guys, share all the links you can. I like to support everybody. Get that out there, get everyone know. You learn stuff. I haven't got to fish with Art and them yet, but I plan on getting down there and fishing with them. And by watching their live streams and stuff, I'm learning different techniques and stuff that they use down there. Uh, just like all mine are Carolina rigged. I've never used the Santee Cooper rig here in this lake just for the simple fact we don't have current. But I noticed a lot of the guys, even with no current, they're using that Santee Cooper rig to float that bait a little bit off the bottom to where if a fish is cruising and he's not right on bottom, he can still get that hook. Is Chad in the house? Hey, Chad, welcome. If you're not subscribed to these guys as these links pop up, go check them out and subscribe because there is all kinds of knowledge on here. And just like the talk shows, Fishing with Chad, Catfish and Crappie, Panfish Weekly, uh, Lyle, Mark, and these guys, uh, they get guests in there. And some of the knowledge that you learn in those talk shows is priceless. Uh, Epic Catfish comes in a lot. And that man is just a walking file cabinet of catfish knowledge. There he is, fishing with the Chad. Glad you made it, Chad. Yep. We just had something hit that rod. Put some slack in the line. Little place is starting to come to life, guys. I don't know if y'all can see it on the phone, but there's fish starting to pop the water all over in this little cove. Could be carp, like I say, but it's showing signs that there are fish up in here. And if it's carp or hybrid, uh, stuff like that, the drum, if they're coming up in here to feed on these flats, then catfish will be up in here. It's just a matter of time. I don't want to be in the way of the rods. I want y'all to be able to see them. I love the catfish here. They're very aggressive, and when they bite, they'll just pull the rod down. If you guys weren't in the last video, this spot here, this particular lake, you have blue cat, channel cat, and flathead all in these waters. It's like Christmas when you fish here. You never know what's going to hit the line. They started cracking down on this lake when it went down. Uh, there was a lot of guys that had barrels and stuff under the water, old deep freezes and stuff. And they would come out and noodle these big catfish out of here. Well, the Oklahoma Department of Wildlife come out and tagged all that stuff, and they're watching it. Some of them they pulled completely up, and they're waiting for people to go hit them. And if they catch them, they're gonna nail them. This lake has a lot of fish in it. It gets a lot of fishing pressure because of that reason. But I'm trying to get it to where CPR is slowly catching on, and guys are finally starting to release the bigger fish and leaving them to breed, which is a great thing because you can go out and fish a lake, and if everyone's keeping every single fish that bites their hook, you can outfish the lake. I see somebody said D. Is Miss D in here? Yes, and thank you again, Becca, for posting all the links. I can't stress how important it is to get all the links out there and get them shared and get everyone found and start getting their content seen because you can learn a lot from these guys or girls. Hey, Roger, how's it going? I can't wait for you to get that steering fixed on the muskrat. I'm ready to watch again. I'm already having withdrawals. Becca, you're doing an awesome job with those links. Hi, Catfish and Dreams. Just got off the phone about getting a new cable. Yeah, I bet. Guys, if you have not been over and checked out Muskrat Adventures, you've got to go check his channel out and watch them. Uh, it's a great channel. I see Epic down in the comments. Did Epic come into the chat? If so, welcome, Epic. I must have missed you. I'm still trying to figure out what's going on with these fish in this lake. Uh, wintertime, normally they're deep, but all the ones I've caught this year have been in shallow water. I have not caught a catfish any deeper than 4 foot of water out of this lake this year. I know there are guys out there in the 30, 40 foot of water drifting for them. They're catching them, but they're also up shallow. It's like they're really scattered. And you've got part of them in the deep, part of them in the shallow. And I don't know if they're just moving that much, but it's definitely strange. I do know anywhere that brush and stumps are in the water, they seem to be more congregated around that structure, even in the wintertime. Yeah, they move a lot in these lakes. A couple of days ago, we were here, and man, I could barely keep the rods in the water. And today it's been kind of slow. We've had one little nibble, but if they don't bite here, I've got plenty of other spots I'll move to. I just come to check this one first because I knew they were here a couple of days ago. And if they don't bite here, I'll move to some other spot. Down here, it's what's making it bad here is we've had high winds. One day it might be out of the north, the next day it might be out of the south, then back north. It keeps flip flopping. There's no consistent wind direction. Uh, and I think that has a lot to do with it as far as moving the bait fish. So it's kind of crazy the way they're up in the shallow waters. I wouldn't expect it. I started out fishing the deeper holes in the deeper water, and I couldn't get a bite. And moved to the shallow water, and they just started hitting. I got to start paying more attention to the time frames because a lot of the times the other day I sat for 2 hours without a bite. Move spots, come over here, and it was on fire. Uh, Another time I was out, uh, I'd caught some good fish, and the wind picked up and got real windy. So I moved uh, to get out of the wind. I had my wife with me, and we moved. And as soon as we got to the new spot, uh, we were catching fish just all over the place. I need to pay closer attention to the times of day when the bite seems to be on fire because it may just be guys when the sun's out like that. It's heating that water temperature up in certain areas to a certain temperature that triggers them fish to feed more. Epic, I cannot imagine anyone telling you that one of your suggestions is not good enough. Any knowledge that you have that you are willing to share, we are more than willing to listen to, because we're all in the same boat. It doesn't matter what body of water you're on, what area you're fishing. We all have the same goal. We're trying to figure these fish out, pattern them, uh, figure out just what's going on under the water. Helps us understand the fish better. It lets us know where they're going to be at certain times of the year. Simple stuff is what baits they like. Wintertime cut bait works better than live bait. Uh, it's just stuff we have to figure out as we go. And these lakes, this particular lake, it has some big catfish in it. You don't catch them consistently, but they are in here. And with CPR getting kicked off, I'm hoping a lot of these guys will start letting them bigger fish go and let them go back to breed. And because we have plenty of eater fish in this lake. I mean, if you're looking for something to eat, there's plenty of fish under 10 pounds to eat without taking 40 and 50 and 60-pound fish and just killing them. I can't do it. Guys, there's nothing wrong with y'all that catch fish to eat. Me and my wife love to eat catfish, but I can keep a couple of small catfish and that will feed us and we're fine. I don't keep my freezer stocked. So even a lot of the little ones I catch, I'm turning them loose. Uh, I know some people are fishing for food, but don't take more than you need, guys, because this is a resource and you can overfish it. And we don't want that. You want this to be here for future generations, not just our children, but their children. This lake, after the drought, it's really hard to find clear spots you can fish from the bank without this brush. Uh, so you do get snagged a lot. Just know that when you're fishing, uh, there's a lot of brush, a lot of stumps, but that's where the fish like it. You find the stumps, you find the big rocks. This lake has a lot of places, got points that come out into the water that have a lot of shell rock in it. And then big flathead and big blues will get up in there and make holes up under them rocks. And they live there. They're hard to fish from the bank, but not so much from the boat. And any time of the year, you can usually find a place to fish here. Catfish and Dreams, this is Warika Lake. It's in southern Oklahoma. I'm about probably 30 minutes north of the Texas state line. Yeah, that's what I do, Mike Turner. I keep enough to eat, and that's like today. Uh, I was getting ready to leave. The wife told me, she said, if you catch some, keep a few to where I can fry some catfish. So I'll keep her a few and turn everything else back. It's just me and her, so it don't take 20 fish to feed me and her. I can keep a couple of the nice eater catfish, and that's plenty. I want to read that comment from Epic. That's good information, Epic. Sorry, Becca, I was scrolling through the chat and popped you up on the screen. That's something I've been trying to figure out because it's not just the small fish, it's not just the small blues that are coming up shallow. It's the bigger blues that are coming up shallow. And when you're catching 30 and 40-pound fish in 2, 3, 4 foot of water during the winter time, you're it just throws me off. It's like, what are they doing? Because you're not seeing shad on the top of the water. Uh, you're not really seeing a lot of fish activity as far as jumping or anything like that, like during the spring or the summer. They're just there. Uh-oh, I see Pop goes to Becca. What happened? All right, nothing so far. We had one little fish kind of nibble at the bait, but he didn't give it. I'll give this spot about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then I'll move. That's plenty of time here. If there's a hungry fish in the area, he can find that bait. If not, I'll move and seek out active fish. And I know there's fish jumping in here, probably carp or something. So I know there's fish moving through this area. But guys, you can be on a spot and know there are fish there, but that does not mean they are actively feeding. You got to find the fish that are actively feeding. Becca, you can't tell Art stuff like that. He'll be rewinding the whole video trying to find that fish. Yeah, catfish and dreams, it won't be like this for very long. We've got cold weather moving in. The highs are going to be in the low 30s, and I've got about a week of that coming at me. So I'm trying to get out of the house and enjoy as much of this sunshine as I can before the cold weather hits. That's one thing. I'm not afraid to move and change different spots. I got plenty of bait. Uh, so I'm not afraid to move and relocate. With me, with the gizzard shad, I like the head pieces better than I do the body pieces, but I have had luck on the body pieces too. So you just never know. Epic, I hope it don't get that bad down here. That's one thing about Oklahoma. We don't get a whole lot of snow. February is usually our worst winter month. That's usually when we get our ice storms. But hopefully it don't stick around for more than 5 or 6 days. It clears off again. Yeah, I don't think I want no below zero temperatures. Y'all can keep all that up north with you. Yeah, Art, I hear a lot of people talk about them suckers and creek chubs. I don't have them down here. Uh, so I've never got to use any. Uh, I don't have skipjack down here, but I definitely want to hit the rivers and make trips down there because, man, I could have a blast just catching skipjack. Catfish and dreams, this lake, we have gizzard shad. There's a thriving minnow population. We have a lot of bluegill. There's crawdads uh, that are actual bait fish, but there's a lot of like grass carp. This lake is full of fish. It's got walleye, hybrid, striper, uh, sand bass, crappie, 3 different species of your catfish. It's got your bluegill, uh, just about anything. Drum. You can catch just about anything in these waters. Yeah, Mike Turner in Oklahoma. Uh, the weather can be volatile. It can drop 30 degrees in 5 minutes. You just never know here. Our biggest problem here, too, is the wind. It's hard to get days without high winds. So, especially in the early part of the year. In the summer, when it's 115, 20 degrees, you would beg for wind and it'll be so still. But during the spring and the early parts of the year, there's a lot of wind and it changes a lot. It may be out of the southeast, then it may go to southwest, it may go to west. You just never know. Oklahoma is definitely one of them states when you wake up, just go fish. Because if you don't like the conditions you got, uh, wait 10 minutes and the weather will change. This lake here with the flathead, live bluegill in the spring and summer, man, them flathead, it's like candy. They will tear them up. Uh, but you can catch them on goldfish here, uh, live shad, and you think with this lake being full of shad that you'd catch just as many flathead on the shad as you do the bluegill, but you don't for some reason. Uh, them flatheads like them bluegills, and I think a lot of the reason is here with all the stumps and the rocks and these back coves that have deep channels in them, then flathead will stay back in there. And I think there's more bluegill and sunfish in that area, and it's just more common for them to feed on them. Yeah, Oklahoma is Tornado Alley. Like I say, with Oklahoma weather, you just never know what's going to happen. I was out here fishing about 3 miles west of here, and tornado warning went off. Tornadoes were coming, and the game warden actually come out here and warned me and tried to get me to leave the lake, but the fish was on fire. I mean, they were just hammering it. So I sat out here and fished through the tornado. And when I got home, the tornado had hit the house, tore all the storm doors and windows off. So I was probably safer out here at the lake fishing. I know that's crazy to a lot of people fishing in a tornado, but man, if the fish are biting, it's hard to get me to leave. Even though it's wintertime now, I keep lights and stuff in my vehicle to where if the fish are biting and it gets dark and the fish are still on fire, man, I'll get the lights out and I'll fish. I'll fish till I can't go no more. What was that Becca said? Yes, Becca. Crappie in this lake are really, really thick. Uh, Anywhere that you see these willow trees and stuff in the water, rock bridges, you can go along them, and root systems that come off the trees on the bank that extend out to the water. Uh, you can really have some fun with the crappie. Uh, I'm not a big crappie fisherman. I have fished for them. I will catch them if the catfish aren't biting, but I usually fish for catfish. But this lake here has huge crappie on it, and you can get into them and go to jigging these brush piles and stuff, and your average fish is going to be over 2 pounds. Uh, some of the crappie here will push 3 pounds. There's a lot of big crappie in this lake. A lot of people come up from Texas and stuff and will come up here just to fish for the crappie here because it is so stacked. Becca, if you love to fish for crappie, you would love this. You can tell too when the crappie are biting because you'll see them bridges that are lined with rocks, and they may be a mile long, and there are people lined up down both sides of them, and they're just killing the slabs. You can come out here with a jigging pole and a small tackle box with extra jigs and stuff in it, and hit this brush and hit the rock piles and load up on the crappie. Becca, that's all right. Not being able to make up your mind. During the spring, uh, you always kind of got to weigh one hand or the other. You're going to fish for the catfish, you're going to fish for the crappie, or are you just going to go turkey hunting? It happens. I see a lot of guys with the bait tanks. I've never used the bait tanks. I always just go out. If I know I'm fishing, I'll go out early that morning or the day before and catch bait. That way I have the fresh bait and I don't have to mess with the bait tanks. The only problem with that is like catching bluegill. If I take my wife out there and she's catching them bluegill, she will sit there all day catching them bluegill. And I tell her I've got plenty. I'm throwing them back in the water. She's always like, one more, one more. And her one more is kind of like a short live stream with Stan. That one more will be 5 or 6 hours. And it's just hard to get her to get away from them. It's a little bit early for us to start using the bluegill yet. Once spring hits and these fish really put their feed sack on and start feeding real hard, uh, you can get them bluegill out here and get into the flathead. See, I like watching all y'all's guys' YouTube channels and stuff because I see the different baits and stuff like eel. I would have never thought of anyone using eel for bait. Uh, I see a lot of the guys up in the DC area use carp. We have tons of carp here, but I've never used them for cut bait. Watching the guys on the river, watching them with their skipjack. Uh, I love it. And the river, there's so many big fish swimming around. Uh, they can just catch them, 20 to 40 pounders consistently. And you watch people like Steve Douglas, the catfish dude, he's out there just hammering the big catfish. And man, that gets me excited. I would love to go and catch the big fish in numbers like that. All right, old vets, we'll be here. The wind's starting to pick up a little bit. I hope it isn't bad blowing into the mic, but it's definitely starting to pick up a little bit, which is good. Got a little bit of chop to the water. I'd rather have a little bit of wind and have waves than I would to come out and fish when it's no wind and the lake is just slick like glass. I have better luck when the wind's blowing. I think it moves the bait fish, and wherever the bait fish go, the active feeding fish are going to go. Mike Turner, we got big gar in this lake. I don't know about using them for bait, but this lake here, you can come out here and there are 7 and 8 foot gar in this lake, and they get thick. Like Creo, watching him fish for them Asian carp and using them for bait. He's in Louisiana, not far from me, but we don't have them Asian carp here. And I know they cause a problem for a lot of different bodies of water, but in these lakes and stuff around here, I'm lucky enough not to have them. Georgia, you brought up that bowfin. I've seen Kevin on palmetto cats and stuff, and uh, kayak fishermen catching them bowfin. I don't have the bowfin down here either. First time I heard bowfin, I'm like, what is that? Guys, that wind is definitely starting to pick up a little bit. If it gets too bad, let me know and I'll try and figure something out. Uh, Taking the bait tank with you, are you, Becca? Junior, no luck yet. I've had one little bite. I'm going to give it a little bit longer, and if nothing bites, I'm going to move to a different spot. Uh, that's one thing about being on the lake. If they're not biting one spot, I will move and try and find them where they are biting. I don't move as quick as Roger does. I'll usually give them at least 2 hours in a spot. If they don't do nothing in 2 hours, I'm moving. Now during the spring, uh, the weather's nice. I'll cut that time down. Usually I'll sit there about 30 to 45 minutes. If I haven't got a bite in that time, I'll move to another spot. Becca, do you ever fish the Arkansas River? I'm gonna move to this other side and try and block some of this wind off the mic. Thanks, Junior. Don't work too hard. I love being out here. Even though the fish aren't biting right now, it's still better than being stuck at the house. About a half a mile from the river. I've never been to Arkansas, but I hear them talk about the Arkansas River, and I've never fished it. So I will fish anywhere that's got good catfish in it. And I'm not against driving. Uh, I will drive 3 to 4 hours just to go to a body of water to fish. And like I told the wife, I want to. I was always working all the time. I never got to travel much. Uh, so now that I can no longer work, uh, I would like to get out and see some of the country, fish different lakes, different rivers, uh, kind of broaden my horizons, so to speak. There's a lot of places, a lot of rivers, a lot of lakes uh, that have great catfish in them. Yeah, Becca, I might have to come try that. Which I'm not stuck on all big fish. I can go out there and catch 5 and 6 pound fish and just have a blast. To me, it's about the action. It's about time on the water. When I catch the bigger fish, it's just a bonus for me. I love to catch them, but that's not my main focus. This wind keeps picking up like this. I'll be looking for spots out of the wind. Another spot I haven't tried yet this year. It's shallow. It's got a rock bridge that kind of blocks some of the wind. Uh, I have caught tons of catfish up in there in the spring and summer. There's a creek channel that comes through there. It's got a lot of brush over there by it now. It's where a lot of the crappie and stuff hang out. Uh, I may go over there and try it, get out of the wind a little bit. So far, places I went to that I haven't fished yet this year have really paid off. There's places that I would fish later in the year, but for some reason the catfish have been up in there. You just never know, guys. This place was on fire the other day, but today the fish don't seem to be that active. That's something to pay attention to. Also, the other day the wind was a lot stronger. You had a lot more waves coming in. Excuse me. It raised the water. The water level was actually higher. That may be another reason that it was bringing the fish in. We just had something pecking at that rod there. That last rod over on the corner. He's not what we're looking after though. Even the small catfish out here, once they get up about 3 pounds, they won't sit there and peck that bait. That's mainly channel cat. The blues out here, when they hit with a vengeance, and they'll just double the rod over. I'm going to give this spot just a little bit longer, guys. Maybe another 15, 20 minutes. And nothing happens, I'm going to end the stream, move to a different spot, and I'll come back live again. Becky, it's funny you talk about being all country. First time I heard your voice in one of the chats and stuff, I was like, oh my God, that is a Southern girl right there. And I just like to sit and listen. All right, Fish, you got about another 15 minutes. You better come on, or we're fixing to pull up and move to another spot. Boy, it's nice out here. A little bit of wind, but it's not nothing like it has been. There's nothing quite as relaxing as being on the water, listening to them waves roll in. Very peaceful and soothing. Hi, sunfish. No, so far I haven't had any luck. I'm going to give them about another 10, 15 minutes. Nothing comes here and they don't get active. I'm going to move spots. They were in here a couple of days ago. This was a good spot, and I figured I'd try it, see if they were here today. But the fish move a lot, and if they're not going to feed in here, I'm going to move to another spot and try and get back on there. Wonder if the catfish would bite. Might be kind of hard to keep that pickle on the hook, Becca. Becca got to talking about pickles, and everybody's mind went off in left field. Shoe come untied. I better tie it before I trip myself. Played left field when he was younger, Art. Well, this just goes to show everyone, men are men. It does not matter what part of the country they're from. If a female comes in and starts talking about pickles, it is going to stir up a conversation. Chad, when you going back out? When you going to go fishing again? Played softball. Went to state 12 out of 13 years. Yeah. Gotta love them softball girls. Most of them girls that play softball and stuff, they got big, thick thighs, and don't get me started. Mike Turner. Everyone hated me because I was the one that got to hit you with the baseball. Yeah. I played football, basketball, baseball, and ran track in school. And football was my favorite sport, and I really loved it. And had full scholarships to go play. And met a girl, and like an idiot, I gave all that up and got married instead. And 6 years later, ended up divorced. Uh, you just never know in life. got moved to first base when you got better, or Chad, our football coaches were the wrestling coaches also, and man, they tried and tried and tried to get me into wrestling, but in my younger years and due to my history and stuff, I couldn't stand to be touched, and I kept telling them wrestling isn't the sport for me. And Coach Gray finally pushed me, and him and Coach Butler, and I went in one time and tried out for wrestling, and as soon as that kid reached down and grabbed me around the inside of my thighs, next thing I knew, out of instinct, I just punched him, man. They decided it was best for me to go back to the weight room and just lift weights some more. That I was right, and I did not have the temperament for wrestling. Football was a fun sport for me because it was contact. It was aggressive. We have got some little fish up in here, or some bait fish or something. Just keep bumping into the lines, bouncing the rods. They're not that far out. The baits I'm using are not very big, probably 2 inch by 2 inch. They should have no trouble getting that in their mouth. Yeah, or you could knock them plumb out of their cleats. Uh, I played on both sides of the ball. I was a cornerback on defense, and you didn't have all the rules back then that you do now. Uh, them receivers would go up to catch a high ball. You could wrap them up around their knees and slingshot them, just ricochet them off the turf, and they didn't do that again. All you had to do was make a noise, and they knew you were coming, and they dropped that ball. They did not want you laying a smackdown on them anymore. That's all right, Roger. You ain't missed nothing. We've had a couple of little bumps, but that was it. Uh, I'm going to give them a couple more minutes, and I'm going to load up and go to another spot. Guys, we've been on here in an hour and a half, and these fish have not done anything. I'm going to go ahead and end this stream and load up and move to another spot and see if we can't get on the fish. So give me about 30, 45 minutes, and I'll be live again. Uh, Thanks again, everyone, for popping in. Uh, as always, I'm just getting the channel started, so I'll go back and rewatch this on my computer. And once it allows me to, y'all that have been in here, I will add as moderators so I can get things kicked off. And I appreciate y'all being here. And we're going to move and see if we can get on some fish. It's great weather, beautiful day on the water, but I come to catch some fish, and I know y'all'd like to see some fish. So we're going to move spots and give it a try. Thanks, everyone.